What's up everybody, it's Luke James, not the singer, and this is my review for Ritz's new album, Next to Nothing. Now I've always been a fan of Rittz, ever since I heard his White Jesus mixtapes, then his first album, The Life and Times of Johnny Valiant. I've been a big fan all along. So when I heard about this album coming out, I was really excited and hoping that he wasn't going to let me down. So did he? Well, let's look at the track by track and then you'll see. The album opens with an intro. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't really like to say too much about intros and interludes. It's just some Spanish guitar, some weather sound effects, a girl talking. That's about all I can say. From there we move on to the song Explode, which is a great way to kick off the album because Rittz is using his rapid fire delivery over top of a beat that makes use of guitar and some spaced out keyboard keys. The hook is catchy, and the whole song is just about how he's been waiting for his moment to explode, and now he's made it, the lights are on him, so this is his chance to really show people what he can do. And I really like the line where he says that he writes about the past while trying to live in the moment, because that gives you a bit of a look into his creative process. The next song is Turn Down, which is the first single that came out. He also has a video for this, and I wasn't a big fan of this song. It's not bad, but when this was the first song that I heard off of this album, I was a little bit disappointed because there was nothing really unique or overly interesting here. It's a good song, it makes use of some piano keys, and it sounds a little bit like his song For Real from his first album. The hook is, if you try to turn up on me, I'm gonna turn that bitch down. So I think it's a good song that would be catchy at a show and get people singing along with him. But other than that, it's kind of a generic rap song. It wasn't that great to me. Track 4 is Crown Royal, and this is one of my favorite songs on the album. I really like this one. He just released a video for this last week, and it has a really smooth, laid-back, party type of vibe to it. It's not really a club song, but you could see this working at a house party, and it would definitely work in your car if you were out cruising in the late night. Obviously it's not a deep song, it's called Crown Royal, it's about the drink Crown Royal, but it's really good, and the hook is so damn smooth and breezy that it's almost hypnotic. You'll definitely be singing along with it, and it will get stuck in your head. The next track is called LAF, which stands for Lame as Fuck. He also makes some wordplay where he says people make him laugh because they're LAF, they're lame as fuck, and that's what the song is about, is just people that Rittz thinks are lame as fuck. You know, girls online who are posing all the time, taking selfies, whack rappers, guys posing with guns and pictures but they're not about that action, that type of thing. And the beat on this is really cool because it makes use of some psycho sounding strings, an orchestra hit, some rumbling bass, horns that kick in. There's just a lot of stuff going on here, and it's not jumbled or messy, so it makes for an interesting listen. Track 6 is called Bounce, and it features Twista. Now usually when I see that an album has a song called Bounce, I cringe and I sigh because I figure it's going to be along the lines of bounce that ass, or we bouncing in the club, or that type of thing. But that is not the case with this track. It is so laid back and smooth and breezy that much like the hook on Crown Royal, this whole song is very hypnotic. It makes use of light guitar. At the start of the song it kicks in with some breezy sound effects, including some gentle rain, which really sets the tone for the track. And Rittz and Twista sound great on this type of production. I mean, this is the exact type of song that Twista is always featured on. Whenever he's featured on an album, it's always something kind of smooth and laid back like this. And Rittz and Twista sound great together. The hook is catchy and smooth. Definitely one of the best songs on there. And they're actually working on a video for this, so I look forward to seeing that. The next track is called Living the Dream, and it features Trey the Truth. It's built around some funky sounding guitar. The hook on it I didn't like at first, but it kind of grew on me after a while. Just the voice on there is kind of weird. It almost reminded me of like the Bee Gees singing in a lower key, sort of a disco singing type of sound, especially the part when the singer goes, "Oh yeah," because it sounds like the Jackson 5 song where that happens. I'm actually not sure who's singing on this because it doesn't say who it's featuring other than Trey the Truth. And I'm not sure if that is Rittz singing. I kind of just assumed it was Mike Posner singing on this again, but I don't know. I'm sure it's on Wikipedia or something by now. It's an alright song, but it doesn't really stick out too much. But it's worth listening to, and it's not awful. The next track, track 8, is called In My Zone, featuring Mike Posner and B.O.B. B.O.B. kills it. Like, I am not a B.O.B. stan. I don't check a lot of his projects. Whenever I see him on a song, I don't go crazy. But he killed his verse on here. I really like the line where he says he's from Atlanta, the home of the Ratchets, aristocrats, and something else. I already butchered it enough, so I'm not going to try to fill in the blanks. But it was a really dope line and an all-in-all great verse. Mike Posner also does his thing on the hook, even though at first it sounded kind of weird to me because his voice is very airy and breezy, almost like a girl because it's really high pitched, but it fits the whole feel of the song because the song is about how they're just laid back, chilling, and they're in their zone. This is another one of my favorite tracks on the album, just like Crown Royal and Bounce, which they all have that same sort of feel, that laid back vibe. Now track 9 is called Call 911, and this is a crazy track. It's almost like a horrorcore style of track. You could say, or make that argument, that it is. The first verse is about a woman who comes home from work, a guy invades her home, rapes her, stabs her, she has to call 911. That's sort of the theme of the song, obviously, as you can tell by the title. The second verse is about a daughter and her boyfriend killing her father because the father doesn't want them to be together. So they piece together this plan to kill the dad so that they can be together. And then she calls 911 pretending, oh my God, I found my dad, he's laying here. The beat on this is really evil, which fits the entire feel of the song. It even makes use of that instrument called the theremin, I think it's called, that they used to use it in some horror movies, especially old school stuff. Think like a mad professor in a science fiction horror movie where that sound is like, I hope you know what I mean, because if not, I just look like an ass clown. But the storytelling on this is great. Rittz just paints such a vivid picture that if you've ever been through something like this, listening to this would probably disturb you and trigger some shit, so I wouldn't recommend it. Basket Case is the next track. I like this beat. It makes use of some bass and some lullaby sounding bells. And on it, Rittz is rapping about how he's his worst enemy and he considers himself a basket case because he's so hard on himself. He's his worst critic. And he's just talking about some of the personal struggles that he deals with being who he is. He talks about how some people think he doesn't say anything in his rhymes because he raps fast, but he prides himself on actually saying something in his rhymes. He also addresses the fickle fans who love him one day, hate him the next, and then love him again. And he also addresses people who think they heard him saying nigga in his rhymes, to which he says he never has, he never will, and he doesn't associate with white people who say the word nigger. So this was a cool song because he got personal and the subject matter was on point. The next track is Profit featuring Yellow Wolf and Shawty Fat. Not a whole lot to say about it. Yellow Wolf sounds great on it. He sounds like he's in trunk music form. Shawty Fat's verse is not really memorable other than the fact that he said Super Nintendo. And Rittz sounds good on here. I mean, he sounds good on everything on this album, really. That's one of the strongest points of this album, is that his rapping is consistent on every song. That's why I don't mention his rapping on every song, because it's just good. It's pretty much good all the way through. I don't think he has a bad verse on here. As for the beat, I think the beat is really cool. It kind of reminds me of Suave House production from back in the 90s, like some 8-Ball and MJG type of shit. That song Pure Uncut kind of comes to mind. That sort of thing. If you remember that style, you know what I mean, and you'll appreciate that reference when you hear this beat. It's a pretty good song, but it's not deep. It's called Profit. It's about how they're all about the profit. Next is the track Going Through Hell featuring Mike Posner. This is a light, airy, acoustic guitar track. Not a whole lot to say about it. It kind of sounds like some lonely road trip music. It's not awful, but it kind of seems like a weird fit on this album based on the pace that it's been going so far. But it's not a bad song, like I said. It's alright, not too deep, but they're rapping and singing about how they're trying to get to heaven by going through hell. The next track, Wish You Could, I'm not going to say much about it. It's just a generic track. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not memorable. You might like it as a banger in your whip. That's about it. Track 14 is called Blow, which is basically just a dedication track to cocaine, so take that for what it is. The beat is alright, just some typical smooth, laid-back, rich type of shit, but like I said, the content isn't really anything deep. It's just him rapping about how he chooses to use blow, how sometimes he likes to do it, but he's not really addicted to it. I don't know, kids, don't do blow, it's not cool, and don't make Rittz make you think that it is cool, even though I don't think that's his intent. He's just being honest and rapping about his experiences on this song, just like on the whole album, so I appreciate that. But don't do blow. Now track 15 is called White Rapper, and he has a video for this, and I think this is one of the best songs on there, just because the content of it. He's rapping about what it's like to be a white rapper, people doubting you, his family's kind of embarrassed, his girlfriend wants him to stop, but he loves rapping and he wants to do it because he thinks he has a skill to do it. So if you're a white rapper, especially a white rapper that's coming up, I think you'll really appreciate this song because he's probably sharing some of your story and talking about some of the things that you go through. And he does a great job weaving in his stories, his personal experiences into this song. The beat is cool too. Kind of reminds me of the Halloween movies because it has that eerie sounding piano. But all in all, this is a great song that he put together perfectly. It makes a point, good subject matter. I like it. Track 16 is called Turning Up the Bottle. This one kind of reminds me of Going Through Hell because it's a pretty empty sounding beat, but this one is based around some piano, and it's about, you know, some people going through problems, but when they turn up the bottle, have a drink of alcohol, everything's all right. So the subject matter is there, but all in all, it's kind of a dull song. Track 17 is Broken Famous. This is the first of 2 songs featured on the deluxe edition. And I like the topic here because Rittz is rapping about how he's broke and he's famous. People think he's rich just because quite a bit of people know who he is, so they assume that he's caking. But he's not really. He's still putting in a lot of work and struggling with different things financially. So he's not rich and famous, he's broken famous. Again, the beat is kind of typical, just the bassy guitar, laid back Rittz feel. But this is one of the better tracks on the album. I'm actually kind of surprised that this was on the deluxe edition because he could have cut some of the more underwhelming songs on here and put that on. But maybe that was part of the ploy to get people to buy the deluxe edition, was for this great song. But it's another personal song, and that's why I like it. He talks about how the BET Cypher really helped to elevate his career. He talks about some things involving the release of his first album, The Life and Times of Johnny Valiant. So this is a really good song on here. And the last track is Lonely, featuring Scar. If you don't know who Scar is, he was featured on Outkast's old hit, Morris Brown, and he's sung on some other songs with other artists as well. And this song is all about how Rittz is on the road and he's lonely. I really liked the second verse on the song because he paints a good picture of some of the stuff that he goes through. He's talking about how he's out promoting his album, you know, he's signing autographs, doing what he has to do as an artist, but then he gets a phone call that his girlfriend has attempted suicide. So he's over here, she's over there, he has to deal with this, but he has to deal with this major issue with his girlfriend at the same time. So it's kind of interesting, and it makes you think about some of the stuff that people go through when they're on the road all the time, away from their friends and family, trying to be successful so that they can help themselves out and their friends and family, but you know, it's a lot of stuff going on in their world. So all in all, I give Ritz's album Next to Nothing a 4 out of 5. It's a great album. The only thing that doesn't take it to a 4.5 or a 5 is that there's nothing overly original or unique or groundbreaking or game-changing here. He has great beats, he can flow, he's got great content, the features are light. There's so many good things about this album. The content on there is great, like the subject matter, it varies. There's a little bit of everything for everyone, from chillin' party music to songs about real shit. So he put together a really solid album that sort of shows who he is and really talks about his personal struggles and his issues, which that is great when a rapper can do that. So all in all, a 4 out of 5. Definitely check this album out. Don't sleep on it. There's a couple of songs that I wasn't really feeling, but for the most part, it's a solid album, and Rittz is on that album. Oh, go figure, it's Ritz's album. Of course he's on that album. What I mean is his heart and soul are really on this album. He put himself into this, and I appreciate it. So thank you for watching this review. Check my other ones out. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Email me at luke@redmattersite.com if you're an independent artist and you want me to review your album, or you want me to hit an album review that I haven't. Okay, I hear my daughter crying. My wife's out there taking care of her. I gotta go handle some business. Thank you. Hit me up. And stay tuned because clearly there's more to come. This is my new camera, by the way, with my new lighting setup. I hope you like it. I'm still going to have to figure out some kinks. But yeah, time to go be a man and a husband and a father. See you next time.